Boom. Good morning. So, Breakfast with the Broker every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Sometimes thereabouts, but today is at 9 a.m. and we got a very special guest. We call him Ask Michael Mondays. He's got a great Facebook Live show as well, and podcast, right? You do a podcast as well. Michael Citron of Remax Park Creek. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'll give you another handshake.
Yeah. The other one was better, though.
Yeah.
So, Michael, I mean, you know, I've kind of followed you from the distance, and a lot of people, you know, have looked at you and looked up to you because, you know, you were pretty young in the business. You got in the business and really dominated a market. And, you know, agents kind of, you know, obviously are inspired by that. You know, what did you do? Oh, let's go back. What's the first, you know, how did you get in the business? How did you get in the real estate business? And what made you decide to take on this crazy industry?
Yeah, it's a crazy thing. 15 years ago, I was a teacher. I was studying to be a professor, and I did real estate part-time and was invited to listen to a speaker, a broker. I started Exit Realty years ago, and I was taken back, and I said, I'll just make a little side income, because teachers don't make a lot of money, professors don't make much more, and it just blossomed, and I enjoyed it, and I liked it, and I really had a passion for it, and I said, wow, this is what I want to do in my life. I learned it really quickly, and the market was just starting to pick up at that point, and I jumped in, I immersed myself into it. I was there late at night, cold calling all day and nights, and you know, it just flourished.
That's awesome, man. You know, you said you were a professor. I don't know if you majored in psychology, but you certainly need some of that.
Definitely have to wear your psych hat in real estate.
So, you know, you got in the business, and obviously your predominant market is Parkland.
Yeah.
And you know, Parkland, you know, to me is a really kind of that little home neighborhood, you know, city. How did you? I mean, I remember there were a lot of big hitters in Parkland. And not that you got rid of them all, but you certainly are pretty dominant in that market. How did you tackle it?
Pretty tough to, you're correct. It was a lot of great agents, but I saw the opportunity where there were, you know, they were stepping back a little bit when the market changed. And I had to come up with some crazy ideas. I came up with the Parkland Parrot brand. I put parrots on everything. I saw it on Geico and Snoopy for MetLife. And I said, you know what, let's go with this. And, you know, I still say, you know, marketing gets you in the door, and then you have to have a great presentation and really, you know, step up to the plate. And I did that, and just had a couple great opportunities, and I just took advantage of it. And I showed myself to other surrounding homeowners of the city, and, you know, I did the local branding, and then I got real hyper-local with actual communities. And I just was consistent. I worked hard. I over-promised and over-delivered, and this is where we're standing here.
And you know, I've interviewed a lot of top producers, and actually all over the country, all over the world, really. The consistent theme is consistency. You know, and the more consistent you are, the more likely you're going to achieve success. And that Parkland Parrot, expand a little bit on that Parkland Parrot, because you know, a lot of times I remember, I don't know if you remember Mr. Internet,
yeah,
Michael Russer. So Mr. Internet, and that's what brought me. I don't know if he was part of that or whatever, or if that was any kind of your inspiration.
Sure,
but Michael Russer started a ePro certification way back then, and he was very into niche marketing. So when we got into niche marketing, I remember there was someone in I think it was Lake Michigan or somewhere up there, and they would put rubber duckies in like lakes, and in all their pictures they would have these rubber duckies, and it was something similar to what you did with the Parkland Parrot. Expand on that, and how kind of was your inspiration with that?
You know, I was putting together a website. I was an English professor. I love to write, and I said, you know, how do I get myself on the top of Google and for people searching? And back then, the algorithm was much different than it was now with Google. So I just wrote a lot of great articles, but I needed a starting point. I needed the, you know, where the nucleus, where everybody would come together. And that website, I went with a designer at the time. Said, you got to come up with something creative. And he was a California guy, and he's like, you got to think outside the box. And you know, we thought about a lot of different things, and it hit. And I just said, you know, put this together. It's crazy. People made fun of it within my office, out of the office, and they joked. And you know, it hit me, you know, because you realize when you're doing something right, you're always going to have those haters, naysayers, people that are going to try to, hit you where because you're trying to compete. As you said, it wasn't easy competing against the greatest agents at Parkland. I've been in the business 30, 40 years at the time, some of them. And I immersed myself in putting this brand together. I knew it was weird. I knew it was out of the ordinary. And I said, I'm going to go with it. And we put it on every single postcard, mailer, email, and, after a while, people would say, I get calls, and even to this day, I get calls, am I talking to the parrot?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, yeah. I mean, we have a mascot, we have Karki the parrot, we have let it flourish, and it's great to see other people, as you said, Mr. Internet, or huge hitters of the world, using those type of brands. And now I see other people doing it, and I see other people in our area, and using cool ideas, and you know what? It's great because somebody else is going to do something like that, and it's great to inspire people to do it. I always say you don't have to reinvent the wheel; you can stand on the shoulders of giants.
I think that's amazing, and I remember I came up with whatever Highland Beach Views. I was also got into the SEO kind of thing, and we had a rosette spoonbill as our little kind of thing, and it doesn't go off the tongue as much as a Parkland parrot does, but rosette spoonbill kind of thing. But it was cool, and people would mention it, say, hey, what about this? What about this? Hey, are you the rosette spoonbill? Kind of thing. I haven't seen any in a while. Kind of thing. And it does take kind of a whole thing on its own. I mean, it really is awesome. So I think that's really important to agents to really be outside the box, because when you look at Parkland, you have a lot of old school realtors, a lot of people that were doing business the old ways. Not to say that the old ways don't work, because they do, but they needed a little new freshness. And here comes Michael Citron taking in that.
They didn't like me. They didn't like me.
They did not.
They still don't like me.
But now maybe you cared a little bit back then. Now you don't care at all, because it's like, hey, you know what? Come with me. Don't. We're not always competitive. We don't have to be competitive. We don't need to be combative. We can cooperate. There's a lot of business out there, and the cream always rises to the top. And do things the right way, like you do. Business is successful, and you achieve that. So, talking about the P word, and not parrot, and not Parkland, prospecting. How did you first start to prospect? You discussed cold calling and stuff like that. Is that something that you like to be on the phone? Because some people really hate to be on the phone. Some people like to be on the phone. Do you have any advice for agents that maybe like to be on the phone and don't like to be on the phone?
Well, if you like to be on the phone, immerse yourself in it, because it's something that a lot of agents won't do. And I think not only cold calling, but door knocking is great. You can't do it much in some of the areas, I understand, but if you're able to get on the phone and you're good voice and you're able to have thick skin, I mean, it made my business. I mean, my first deal in Parkland was a lady that was a buy owner. She had listed with a top agent at the time there in Parkland, and she, I just bothered her in a positive way. I just gave her advice and information, and she knew I was young. She's like, you're a baby. And I mean, this was, almost 15 years ago. And I said, look, let me meet with you. Let me just talk to you. And then she let me come over. She had this big, huge house, and she said to me, she goes, I'm really going to give you the listing. I'm going to give you your chance. Because I was dumb enough to tell her that I was new in the business, and you never should do that. If anybody asks you how long you've been in the business, tell them it seems like it's been forever. Never tell them. Right. Tell them your team's been in the business forever. So, but I told her I was dumb enough, and then she said, I'm going to do you the best favor I can. Do you have another listing agreement in the car? I was like, we already signed your listing agreement. She's like, no. Do you have another blank one? And I said, you know what? Thank God I do. I had a big, huge folder, like those accordion folders years ago. Yeah. You'd have to have the contract. And she goes, come with me. And she took me 2 doors down. And she goes, you're going to list her house to my best friend. She just expired with her agent. And I'm like, oh my God. So I got 2 brand new listings in Parkland. And I said, how am I going to market these things? I got to do a broker open. I got to have lunch at 1, dessert. I didn't have enough money at the time. My mother helped me make the meal. She helped me make the dessert. I mean, nobody knew that. But I was starving back then, and I closed on those deals. I put money aside, and I just went with it. And I took the brand, and we implemented it then. And this lady, Diane Weeder, I remember, she put me on the map at Parkland. And I just, because perception is reality.
Wow.
Understand marketing, if you can be perceived as the local and hyper-local market. So if you're in, Boca, or wherever you are, that's the local market. But if you're going to immerse yourself, and I think with the changes in, the iBuyer stuff I hear you say and we talk about, or the Zillows of the world, the only way to combat that is to be that hyper-local agent. And I think we've taken the Parkland market, but and really immersed ourselves there, but we've also looked at individual neighborhoods. And then that's the difference. That's the secret sauce that I don't think agents understand. They just focus on one thing, prospecting, if you're going to call your past clients, your new business expires, and then if you're not into that, you can also do some of the check equity. You can be, instead of sweat equity, you could do check equity, which is actually spending some money and marketing and putting a budget together to put yourself in front of those homeowners that are looking to make a move. And that's what we've done.
Absolutely. And when you going back to the Parkland Parrot, listen, when you get out of the business, you decide that, I want to be out of the real estate business. It's pretty tough to sell Michael Citron.
No, I don't look like Brad Pitt.
But it's not tough to sell Parkland Parrot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not tough to, sell your hyper-local neighborhoods or things that you've done where you have systems and you systemize that approach and you basically hand it over and really just need someone to delegate the tasks needed and be in front of people. So yeah, I agree. I wanted to ask you, obviously most people didn't know Parkland before a few years ago, and with the shooting, how did you? Because some people talk about perception. The perception changed overnight for Parkland. I mean, Parkland was, is a very nice, affluent community where kind of everyone knows each other. You put a bumper sticker to be proud of a Parkland resident, and then it changes overnight. And then all of a sudden, well, Parkland's not safe, or Parkland schools aren't safe, and then such. How did you deal with that? That's pretty overwhelming.
It was a challenge. I still think we're dealing with today. I had calls days after the shooting to come list my house. I'm out of here. I'm pushing the button to leave. So it was difficult. We actually live in Parkland, and we live the lifestyle. We have a lot of friends and family, and we lost a lot of loved ones, kids, in my neighborhood around 3 doors away. I mean, it's crazy. So we went through that process. I think our business shut down for probably a couple months. I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't put any marketing out there. I mean, who's going to put marketing out there? So we really immersed ourselves, and I see our city has come together even more so. And it's a great city, and we are the safest. Even with the shooting, we're still the safest city. But yes, it's been a challenge. I mean, people's perception. I would say locally, within the South Florida community, we haven't seen a huge change. People still want to move from Coconut Creek or, Miami, east to come west out with a family. They're starting new, or they're looking to, get into a good school system. We haven't seen that, but yes, definitely perception. You type in Parkland, Florida, and Northeast. And I think it's definitely something where, unfortunately, but fortunately for our city and real estate is, these shootings have become, every day now. It's normal to see it. I mean, we're seeing them all over the place. But I think the way the city's responded, our local government, our police has stepped up. It's a much safer school. We have much more SRO officers in the school. The city's safer. As I said, the city's really come together, and I'm proud to call myself a Parkland resident. And when people ask me that question, I'm ready for it. I'm like, I live it. Let's come look at it. You could see the mayor every day at Starbucks. You could, get an answer back from people in our city. We still call our city, if you know it, I'm like a small Mayberry surrounded by the hustle and bustle of South Florida. It's a great place to live. It always is. I knew even after the shooting happened and we had, this, big events that we've had since. I've said to my family, I mean, this is where we live. It's crazy to say this tragedy has made me even love our city more. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. And I think that's why I think we sell the lifestyle better through this change and what happened. But it's definitely something that we have to deal with. And it's something we certainly have to step up in our marketing and our game, because it was quick to get that question.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about putting things in perspective, very quickly, tragedies like this, and unfortunately, you think of 3 or 4, school shootings, and
Yeah.
one of the first ones, is Parkland right now. Now, hopefully there aren't anymore, but the society is kind of lend itself to
Sure.
a lot more of this, and there's going to be a lot more communities that are going to deal with it, and there's going to be a lot more communities calling people like yourself, who are influential in the community, to say, how do we deal with this? Realtors across the country dealing with it in those communities
Texas.
are going to be they're going to be calling and saying, hey, I don't know what to do. Like you said, you don't think about, if you're not immersed in that city, you don't think about having to stop marketing for 2 months, because what are you going to do? You're going to market like for listings. You're going to look like insensitive. And so it had to be very, very difficult. I mean, I've listed and sold in Parkland, but that's not like primarily my area. But we've heard it on a limited scale. Hey, no, I don't want to go to Parkland because it's not safe. And you're like, whoa, what are you reading? That's fake news. That's like, if you look at the crime rate and all that other stuff, that had to be very tough, and I'm sure something that you obviously you said you're still dealing with.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's go into a little bit more positive vibe. How'd you come up with Ask Michael Mondays?
I kind of looked online, and I see that as I said, you have to be, when you're in real estate, you have to always be looking to other people who are doing well. And I just, I'm always looking online, and I saw other agents doing some of their vlog shows and their podcasts. Everybody watches the $1 Million Listing shows, and you just get inspiration. I mean, it's all fake, I think.
It is.
I love $1 Million Listings.
I love it too.
Listen, we can script it too.
It's scripted.
It's scripted. Yes. Do you know that the houses on $1 Million Listing, the contracts and the negotiations have been done 6 months prior to ever
You're
be.
crushing my dreams.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
I know on HGTV it is, but not on $1 Million Listings.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, they're real deals. They've just been
Right.
done. It's just been scripted so it looks good for TV.
Yeah.
And that's
So
great.
they're not really yelling at the other people.
No.
Maybe they're doing it just for, like, if when Ryan Serhant cried to his wife, I don't think that was real.
Right.
Maybe he cried and then he came back on camera and they told him to cry this
But when
way.
their clients are like, no, if you don't do this, you're not getting my other listing. That's
I don't think so. I mean, I think these people are going on TV for a reason. They want their exposure. I think it helps his marketing, of course. I mean, his personal brand and certainly the whatever building, because it takes
That's
years to
right.
sell it. But
I only like I don't like the Miami one. I only like the New York one anyway.
So, I don't understand. So millennials don't trust anything. You finally trust $1 Million Listings.
Yeah, that's where you're gonna.
They give me hope. You don't want to do that.
we not necessarily my era, but slightly before my era, everyone trusted Walter Cronkite.
Yeah.
Because that was like, whatever he said was gospel. Now no one trusts anything, so you shouldn't trust TV, sir.
But I would tell you that I think the show, what's great about the show is we talk about, we went through and, as your show, you have to get guests. So in the beginning, we, did it's crazy. We have it all set up better now. You have this, light and everything. We were putting this thing on a garbage can holding it up in the first couple episodes. Nobody knew that. But, we didn't know what to do. And we just brought in different people in the real estate business. But what I liked about doing it in a park, but mine's very hyper-local, as I said. It's local to the city. I had the commissioners on. People were running for board, to be commissioners. And we were interviewing after the tragedy. I mean, we were interviewing everybody. And I thought it was a great way that we were actually a voice, a way that people could come online to get that information, to learn about Parkland. And I say you got to sell a city, a neighborhood, then the house itself. So by me showing the city that I care, that I'm involved in the city, that I want to support everything that's going on, that's going to get people to move towards you. And I think the Parrot brand helps, but I really believe at the end of the day, if you immerse yourself and show where you're looking to market, that you not only want to be a specialist, but really care about the community. I mean, I'm having people that are contacting me to be on our show in our city, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And we're almost at 100 episodes, And I can't believe it's been that long. And I have a great, just like you have a great in-house here. I have my own marketing guy, and he does videography, and we're continuing to try to, exceed our expectations and go higher.
So yeah, I mean, realtors connecting communities, and there's no better way than video.
Yeah.
And you gotta. The one thing that the advice that I give to realtors is like, you have to embrace the new technology. Stop embracing what everyone else does. Like, just because someone, does a video show, well, maybe you should do something else. I don't know. I don't know what that is. Maybe you get into AI. Maybe you get into augmented reality or something else. But don't keep trying to do what everyone else is doing, because you're going to be competing with too many people. Now video shows. Back when you did it, you've been 2 years or so doing video. No one was doing it.
Yeah.
So I mean, we started it last July. There were maybe 20, 30 people in our area doing it. Now there's hundreds. So as you can see, the problem with what realtors do is that they don't adapt to technology until they have to, until they're required to. Is like, they're not texting for showing instructions until everyone's texting for showing instructions. So now all of a sudden,
your story always cracks.
Oh yeah, so I'll tell the story, and most of you heard it, but I think it was right around 2003, 2004, whatever it was. I got a text, and back then you paid 50, 75 cents a text or whatever the amount was, and I get a text for showing instructions. Hey, can I show 123 Appleby Street? And I'm like, how freaking rude. Why would someone do that? Why would and your whole mindset and perspective changes. Fast forward, 16 years later, and all of a sudden, if you call me, I'm like, how rude. Don't call me for showing instructions. That's awful.
Now it's like you're rude if you do call them. Like no one answers. I just shoot
You're
out
like,
3
you must
texts.
be you, right?
Right.
You're doing the business.
Don't call me. Like, how old are you?
I literally text people. I'm like, can you call me? I have a question.
Right. It's funny, but language has certainly changed and all of that. So I always end it with this. Tell us something that we don't know about Michael Citron that maybe no one knows, or maybe only a few people know.
I mean, I'm a diehard Philadelphia sports fan. That's really where I.
Eagles? We got a couple of them.
We went up, when they won the Super Bowl, my brother and I went up for the parade.
I forget that.
Yeah, no. Patriots.
Was it Terrell?
I would say that, going back to, giving a little bit of idea about myself and what agents should do to kind of swing it there is that what you said, you can't be following what people are doing. It's too late to be texting now. It's too late to be, I remember we, for the first, maybe in Park or in the area, that did drones. And people are like, what the hell? I had neighbors calling the police on me.
Oh, me too.
So understand, what I believe is it's great to be successful, but I don't look at success. I look at what your aspirations are, what your abilities are, what you can do in the future. So instead of looking towards today, you got to look at tomorrow. We're already looking at next year. We're using lifestyle videos. I don't even know. I mean, I saw this out west. I saw these huge agents doing these amazing, putting in actors in videos. And we've done maybe almost a dozen videos with actors. And it's working. And it's great. And I'm thinking, man, I'm not a real estate agent anymore. You said it. I'm not, psychology. I'm everything. But when we start, we're marketers. So what is it today that you're passionate about? You don't have to sit here and have your own show like you do or I do. You could just pick up your phone. There's no excuses anymore. The technology, use it. And walk around your neighborhood. Talk every day about something that's important to you that you like. I mean, if you like to work out every day, show that you work out. You're the workout realtor. If you enjoy food, you bring elements of restaurants into your business. So that's what we do right now. The lifestyle, I see that the future of what we're looking to do, that know that deep down what Michael Citron is looking to do, is I'm looking to get to the next level. We're looking to expand our business and take more of Parkwood and then maybe branch out a little bit. But the idea is, what can we do? So really look at that as, what are people doing that's exceptionally different? Like I don't have a budget of $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to do these lifestyle videos, but I still have a decent budget and it's working already, and it's getting a buzz out there. We put out lots of marketing, both online, print, social media. You really have to put it all together, because people need to see you when they pick up their phone and look on their social media, when they go in their mailbox, when they see you at an event or something involved in the city. That's the difference in what I'm looking to do. So to learning a little about me, that's when I'm really excited about, enjoying, time with my family. I work out, I'm a diehard CrossFitter. I go up every morning at 4:30, do my to-do list, and then I'm at the gym every day, 6 a.m., 7, take our son to school, and then I'm at the office by 8:30, 8:45. And I haven't changed that in 15 years.
So yeah, I mean, consistency, wow. When you have those routines, those are the routines of a high achiever. I don't know if you know John Cheepak.
Yeah.
He wakes up at like 2:30 in the morning. I'm like, what are you?
That's a lot early.
Yeah, it's crazy. 4:30 is way early for me. So, but it's kind of like you follow Gary Vee and all.
Yeah.
So Gary Vee says document everything. Document everything. Like, why wouldn't you document things? Because just because you think it's not interesting doesn't mean other people aren't going to. And the days of Facebook status and saying, hey, I went to the bathroom, hey, I went to this and that. No, you're not doing that, but you're videoing because people are demanding authentic content. Not even, authentic, original content. They don't want, repurposed, or,
Our listing brand.
Yeah, in lifestyle videos, we've seen a huge influx, and now we're also movie directors. We just keep adding job titles, but
Likes are leaving next week.
what's that?
Likes are no more on Instagram next week.
And I'm sure it's gonna happen on Facebook at some point as well.
Yeah, they say that. It's crazy.
And in all honesty, it changes. Imagine that. Imagine not posting for likes and just having to post original content. Wow. Boy, we've come a long way. So hopefully it changes the mindset of people too. But thank you so much, Michael. I mean, I appreciate it.
This is a good one.
Yes. No, very good. I mean, just to sum up things, Michael is really an amazing top producer, and I really appreciate you coming here. And the things that he does, habit, routine, having that routine and doing it every day, consistency with your marketing and branding, thinking outside of the box. All of that will help you achieve success. And Michael, thanks for sharing. We appreciate it. And look for his Ask Michael Mondays. It's out there all over the place, and really, really good content as well. So we will see you next Tuesday at 9 a.m.
We're learning about a new development next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, we have a great developer coming in. He actually developed Point 100. And now he's going to come in and talk to us about a new property he's got going on. So we look forward to him. We got another couple other guests this month. We have Jared Lowe, who is the incoming president for RAPB plus GFOR plus SBBOR. Although at NAR we got a new name, and is Broward. I'm not going to repeat it. Yeah. So you know what? 1 minute. I want to ask you a question because I forgot that the NAR, I don't know if you saw the NAR pocket listing MLS. Forgive me, just 1 more minute. So the National Association of Realtors came out with a somewhat of a pretty controversial topic in that they're requiring MLS members to, within 1 day of a property going under contract or status, having, not property under contract, having a listing. If you're marketing at any point, if you're marketing, that means social media or anything, it needs to go into either a coming soon status or an active status. Do you market pocket listings? You off market, so the Zillow coming soon and stuff like that. It's pretty controversial. I thought that it was not going to require MLSs to do that. Unfortunately, it does, and it's going to change the way we do business. And I think I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
I mean, I don't like it. I think it's. Look, I've heard people say you're just trying to sell your own listing. I really think that with so much availability of somebody to go online and see properties, you want to be the ultimate source. Again, this hyper local. I love when people come and see. Just this year, I've done the Ask Michael Monday at a new listing. I knew it would sell, and two people on my Facebook page contacted me saying, "I want to buy that house." So when you see this video, this works. It might take time, and you really have to get good at it. But I put it on there, and I didn't have the listing on the MLS. And the problem that I find is it doesn't take 2 seconds to get a house on the market. You get a paper signed, us in the business, if you're not a real estate agent, you have a plan. You should have a plan. You get a listing signed. You want to get it staged. You want to do some marketing. Maybe you do a lifestyle thing. You want to do an open house, a broker opener, launch the listing. That takes time. So for you not to be able to market that in a to make it unique and special, that it's something that, it's like people want it because they can't have it yet. Mm-hmm. So I got so much response just in that one video. And we sold it. I had backup offers on people that didn't even look at it on the MLS or Realtor.com or Zillow. So yes, I think it affects it. If you're still able to do it, I would take pictures of the listing, have them right on there coming soon, that day, put it up. Take advantage of it. Because we realistically have to follow the rules. So within that day period, at least you can get it exposed. So it's just going to make you have to compromise and be that better of a realtor. To go home instead of going out, load your pictures. Make them look as nice as you can. Use the editing software from your iPhone and put those pictures up. Use your social media. Say this listing, instead of coming soon, say 24 hours until it's on MLS. Just do something different. Make it still unique. Do we lose a day or two? Yes. A week? That's the problem, is that somebody's going to want to be on there, and that's my issue now.
Well, my biggest issue is that the MLS is dictating the way we do business.
Correct.
So, and I probably shouldn't say this because I'm on the MLS board of directors.
Getting you in trouble.
But, I don't like when a agency or what have you dictates the way you do business. I do agree that there needs to be some way that the MLS stays relevant compared to what like a Zillow and the bigger portals do. But I think that there's other ways. Now, on the positive side, I think it's going to also demand that that MLSs have a coming soon status.
I think that's
so the coming soon statuses will be there in congruent with the ruling, and I think it's implemented in May. But it's actually starting in January. And, it's interesting, but when you look at the MLS, it's, I think they had to do something because I think that they were losing inventory. And that's the only way to stay relevant. I do think that you don't want the wild, wild west as well. So, I'm like pulled in both ways, because I don't like when someone says, hey, you can't do business like this, but then I understand why they did it, because then you really have to keep your inventory, and it's really protecting most of the real estate industry to a certain degree.
But you're on the board. My biggest thing is, before all this came out, it's 24 to 48 hours you have to have your listing. I didn't know that, to be honest. So I had my sellers, before this happened, sign an agreement on my listing that says we are not putting our house on the market until the photos and videos and professional photography are done, period. Because I got in trouble. A neighbor saw a house. I said, it's not ready. it's dirty. You don't want to see it this way. You're not going to like it. Right. No. We want in, and that's for violations, the whole thing. So we put that in there. Now with this change, it'll be even more unique and to have to deal with it.
Even with the coming soon status, what are the restrictions of it? Can you show it?
Yeah. How am I going to show a house?
Can you have offers? Can you, so, there's a lot more discussion that needs to go with the 600 or so MLSs around the country. As you said, we live by the rules. We don't always agree with them, but we understand why, where it came from.
Just do the best you can.
All right. Sorry, we took way too much time, but I had to get that out there because I forgot to ask him that. And thanks again, guys. We'll see you next Tuesday at 9 a.m.